Hey, what's going on YouTube? I am doing a quick, this should be a short one, quick update video on my War Scourge progress. This is meant to be in addition to or supplemental to the 3.2 mil run video that I posted yesterday. Last night I did another push on this, and as you can see here, managed to walk away with 3.33 mil. So was able to do a little bit better than that 3.2 mil score that I posted yesterday. So I just wanted to do a quick update on the Scourges that I used to accomplish that. In the event that your roster looks anything like mine, you're going in with all hero Asgard, maybe you can mimic this and perhaps it could be helpful to you, I hope. So really everything, if you haven't already watched that other video, go and watch it, at least the beginning portion where I go over the teams that I used and my like high level thoughts on how I approach the nodes. That all remains true here. I did the exact same stuff on this run. The only thing that's different is I adjusted a little bit how I handled Node 10, based purely off of necessity with adding the new Scourges, and I also adjusted my Scourges that I was actually using. So the most important part of this video is just me going over the Scourges that I used and what was able to get me the most points and actually make it work. So we'll take a look at that now. As you can see, with 7 days left, I'm at rank 249. When I posted this last night, I was like 220, 225, something like that. I don't remember exactly. This is where we're sitting now. We'll see if that holds by the time payout happens, when the event ends. I honestly don't think, with what I'm working with, going pure Hero Asgard, not investing in Ravagers or Wave 1 really for this at all. Not willing to do that, so I think I've pretty much peaked. I don't really see a situation in which I can do better than this because I barely got this one done. So we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty happy with this performance. So I just want to take a look and show you my Scourges. So in order to accomplish this, we went up to 351 Scourge points. So I'm just going to go real quick through exactly what I was using and then tell you about what I did differently in Node 10. So for this particular run, I took Dark Resolve 3, I took Power Siphon 1, Not So Fast, Overcharged, Power Fatigue 1, Stage Fright, Too Clever, Pyrrhic Victory 2, Unkillable, Blinded by Power, Unstoppable Force, Weakened, Dark Rally, Power Fatigue 2, Bleeder 2, Butterfly Effect, Flight or Fight, Vile Resurgence 2, When It Rains, Energy Absorption, Rope-a-Dope, Stay Down, and that was it. One thing real quick, I know the info is kind of out there by now, but if you haven't already heard, Rope-a-Dope is not exactly working as it says. As far as I can tell, they don't seem to be getting Safeguard. So this is actually easier. I think they're getting the rest of it. It is kind of hard to tell because I have Butterfly Effect on, and the enemy team is pretty much always buffed, so it's kind of hard to tell exactly what's happening, but I never really noticed a Safeguard. So while this is still a relatively difficult Scourge, it's not as difficult as what they make it out to be in the description here. So keep that in mind. If you've been avoiding this, it might be a good time to give it a try, and maybe it might not be as bad as you think. So that's what I used. Again, 351 points. I have made no investment in any of my Scourge teams since the first video I posted yesterday. Everything's exactly the same. And again, I only invested in 3 characters for this Scourge to make it happen. And I actually have to give a shout out to the Scourge in general. Besides the fact that Red Hawk's bugged, which is ridiculous, they need better QA testing, and besides the fact that some of these Scourges aren't working as they should, again, shame on them, but are we surprised? I'm not. I have to give a shout out to this run. This has been the most fun one I've done yet. I've actually really enjoyed it. I'm kind of burnt out at this point because I've done it so much. But the fact that I was initially, when we got Hero Asgard, like I said in the first video, I brought them up to level 75, gear tier 14. Since then, since the Scourge launched and I've gotten to get in here and got experience with it, it became clear to me that I needed 3 characters built. Thor, number 1. Most importantly, Thor. Number 2 is Lady Thor, Mighty Thor. And number 3 is Valkyrie. That trio for me, it became clear that they were going to be very important. I went ahead and took them up to level 90 in gear tier 16. I had the materials for it. I've been hoarding. I was ready to make a game time decision. I hadn't invested in anyone else. So I went ahead and bumped those 3 up, and I was able to achieve this score by only investing in those 3 characters. And I can't say the same for any of the other Scourges. Like, that's pretty awesome. I was able to do 3 characters, pretty heavy investment in them, but only 3 characters to make this work. So real quick, again, if you haven't already watched the other video, go check that out. At least the first portion where I go over how I approach all the nodes, the teams I'm using, all that good stuff. It's just a high level kind of, it's not in-depth attacks on the nodes or anything like that, but it'll give you some insight into the teams I used and how I went about the nodes. The only difference that I made for this particular run with these Scourges was in node 10. Previously, I was bringing in Thor, Lady Thor, Valkyrie, Heimdall, and Hawk. And I was running Hawk Striker for the extra damage because my Hawk's already really built. I was bringing Heimdall there to mitigate the blinds from Viv Vision, and basically to die and trigger. He's only leveled 75, gear tier 14, to die and then trigger the Valkyrie passive. Hopefully, 50% chance, I think it is, outside of war. And then I was counting on the trio that I built to carry me. With this particular Scourge run, what I found was that Hawk wasn't cutting it. And even on my best runs with Hawk, who still does a ton of damage, and he's great, and he still triggers the Thor passive because they're both wave 1 and all that good stuff. But what I was finding was even with the best possible RNG, when I was getting really lucky on the nodes, I would get down to, like, on that last wave, I would get down to like 2 or 3 guys on the field, and I was practically dead. And I could get real close to killing them, but I couldn't quite pull it out. So what I ended up doing, so I was just a little bit short on damage, and I just didn't quite have that finishing power in order to take care of it. And I'm not investing in Heimdall and Sif. I wasn't going to do it. They're level 75, G14. They're staying there. So what I did was, previously I had Raider on Thor, and I had Healer on everybody else. So for the attempt that I actually got this done, I brought in Sif on the far corner. She was Healer. Heimdall next to her. He was also Healer. They do no damage for me, so I just left him as Healer. I kept Thor Raider. I made Valkyrie Raider, and I made Lady Thor Raider to maximize as much damage as I could. It wasn't a sustained thing. It was I got to the end of the fight, and I didn't have what I needed to get it done, and healing wasn't doing anything for me. So I'm not going to pretend like there was some amazing strategy that I did to make this work. I literally played it for like 2 hours last night, and everything had to go completely perfect. That was it. It literally was like either either Sif or Heimdall died early on. Valkyrie had the 50% chance, triggered her passive, and then not only that, but like after a turn or two when it had just fallen off, then the other crappy character I have, Sif or Heimdall, then died. We got the buffs again, and we were able to like fully push back against that second wave. That was literally it. It was just a matter of like sweat lording it, being super patient, being super stubborn on my part, and we were able to one-shot it. So there was no special technique there. It was I dropped Hawk, I brought in Sif, and everything went perfectly my way. The passive triggered every time I needed it at exactly the right time I needed it. That could have happened first attempt, or that could have, took me another 4 hours. Like, I guess maybe I got lucky with only having to do it 2 hours. I know not everyone's willing to do that. I was willing to do that, and it ultimately ended up paying off, but it was a lesson in frustration and patience. So that's all I have for you. Like I said, it was a pretty quick video here today. So final score, 3.33 million. We'll see if that's enough for top 500. I have no idea, but I really don't see a situation in which I can do any better. We'll go back real quick. I'll show you the Scourges that I didn't take. I see no situation in which I am able to complete this with any of the health bonus Scourges. The only exception is maybe Experimental Serum 1, and giving them 10% max health for 1 Scourge point. I'm not doing that to myself. I will go insane. I had characters dying constantly, and again, I was counting on characters dying on node 10, so I cannot take gloating. That's not going to happen. Let's see here. On spawn, enemies gain immunity. No, absolutely not. Experimental Serum 4. No. Was not going to happen with the rest of the Scourges I was taking. Offense up or defense up, apply heal block. I was relying on the healing from the Hero Asgard team to keep them in the fight, node 5 and node 10. That's not going to work for me. And that's really the only other stuff I can take. Now, as always, if you guys have, if you're spenders, I don't spend, so this is the best I can do. If you guys have Ravagers, that opens up so many more options. If you have a build-up Ravagers team, you can use them as a sack, like efficient, powerful sack to actually make a dent into the node. You can also use them as a cleanup crew. I don't have that, so this is what we're working with. So that's going to do it, guys. 351 Scourge points. We got 7 days left on the event. We're sitting at 3.33 million. We'll see if that holds out and I get top 500. I have no idea, but even if I don't, I'm really happy with that showing. And yeah, feels good. Feels good. So yeah, that's it. Thanks again for hanging out. If you haven't watched the first video, go check that out. High-level overview of the nodes, teams I use, all that good stuff. That'll do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube, I would appreciate the support. If you'd consider hitting that button down below. Down in the description below, there's also going to be a link to my Discord as well as my Twitch channel. We would love to have you in both as we continue to grow those communities. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful in some small way. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, you hate me, give it a thumbs down. If you have any suggestions, comments, questions, anything at all, feel free to leave those in the comments section. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.